Hello again, everyone. This is Zombie Zyber 45 here. And today I'm going to be discussing something I've planned on discussing a few months ago, but never really got around to it. Today I'm going to be talking about, how do I put this? Human behavior and how it differs from regions in the United States. So if you're confused, let me try to explain it in further detail. There are four, not five, four regions, or yes, that I like to classify the United States into. The first, there's the obvious, the Northeast, the Midwest, the South, and the West. Um, and I guess you could say I consider Alaska and Hawaii to be within the West kind of culture. But within these regions, like I just said, culture, people have different ways of doing things and different ways of acting and behaving. But the thing that I can't quite understand is why we bother them for what they do. I mean, or why we look down upon it. For instance, it's pretty obvious what this country wants us to be like, and that would be the Northeast. The colleges try to get people to do it all the time. It's that's another reason why I despise college, because other than it completely steals your money, because the education system sucks nowadays. But that's besides the point. I've already discussed that in one of my previous videos. But yeah, they wherever you live in this country, that's wrong. That's wrong. You got to live like Northeast, and then big cities where everyone says is the place to live. They keep the Northeast way of life. Like I'd say Florida, Fort Lauderdale and Miami. That, even though that is technically the South, that's not the South in the way of life, because no, they believe me, the Southerners live nothing like that. The people in Southern Florida generally came from the New York area, and people in Los Angeles are must have originated from here, or whatever. They're similar, so that doesn't count. So excluding California and Florida, we can say that pretty much it's pretty much it pretty much lives up to what I said. Every the Everything within the region is how it should be, I guess you could say. So here's how it goes basically. The Northeast, and when I say that, I mean which the Northeast would consist of, this can be argued. The Northeast would consist of what? New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and that's now we're going up to New England, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. I guess maybe Delaware and Maryland could be considered. Yeah, the Delaware and Maryland are, and part of Virginia. I guess you could consider the Northeast. Virginia is stretching it. Maybe not. Maybe not. Virginia, no. No, I don't consider that. So, exclude Virginia from that. That's the Northeast. The, the Northeast does have very diverse ways of life, because if you go up north, things are more like the West or the Midwest. Because recently I visited Maine. It's nothing like down here where I live in New Jersey, and it's nothing like here. It's much better up there. I'm sure Vermont and is. I've never been there, but New Hampshire definitely is somewhat. Anything below that, and I guess parts of New York, nah. They keep the I got it. I'm busy. Uh, don't bother me. I got to get to work. I'm in a hurry, and rude type of uh, lifestyles that people live here. You see it when people drive. You see it when people walk by you. You see it everywhere. It's not. You can't. You must be blind if you don't see it. The way that the the type of thing I'm talking about. So anyway, that's the Northeast, and I don't like it. I'm sick of it, but I'll get it'll get better as I talk about it because next I'll be talking about the Midwest. Well, let's see. The Midwest is basically about in between the obviously the Northeast and the West. They are similar to here. I haven't spent that much time out there, so I won't say this 100%, but parts of it probably aren't that great either. I mean, um, it's okay. I've definitely come across a few things that I don't like about it. They're still in that hurry type, rush, um, way of life or mindset, I guess. And they don't treat you with respect or very nice all the time. So yeah, and I guess that the more with all of these places, the closer you go to big cities, the more and more it becomes relevant or prevalent, as you could say, because there's more people around and more likely for it to occur. So maybe Chicago, I suppose that's going to happen. I'd say Chicago is a much more friendly city than New York. Um, I've only really been there once, but I only passed through on the highway, so I haven't really talked to an average Chicagoan, but I assume and I have heard from certain people that it's much nicer. People are much nicer than New York. It's less people, and I guess just the Midwest. Um, but yeah, like if the Midwest has, in my mind, makes me think a lot about what part of the country, what states there are. It's interesting because Pennsylvania I consider to be Midwest because they're much friendlier. Some parts of it might even be West type, but not fine. Midwest, I guess it's still a lot better. So Pennsylvania, I'll include. West Virginia, fine, I'll include that too. It has the West in it. Let's see, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, um, Missouri, sure. Yeah, that's debatable, but I think it is. Oklahoma is a possibility. That one's I'm not sure about. Nebraska, yes, I guess, and beyond Nebraska and Minnesota, Wisconsin, beyond that that's the limit basically. So that those type of states have somewhere a little they're a little bit more laid back than the Northeast, but still they still have a lot of words, a lot to learn about life. Um, it's interesting because also something to note um, about about every region in the country is on the most part, they have a very similar dialect or drawl, as they say in the South, or accent, as everyone knows the most. And that almost tells me how they feel about life and how laid back they are. And yeah, I mean, people in the Northeast have to, they talk what people would say the most intelligently, or yeah, because everyone's gonna hate you if you don't, right? And it goes down from with every the further away from cities it goes down the way of talking, but I'll get back to that later. The next region would be the West, obviously. And like I said, this includes Alaska and Hawaii because they're not even part of the lower 48, but they are on the west. They're in the western area. Alaska, somewhat, maybe. I don't know about Hawaii, actually, now that I think of it. They have their own area. But I've been to Alaska, and they definitely have a western perspective on things, where they definitely view things in the western, how Westerners view it, the Western United States. Um, but of course, that's expected. I mean, what else are they gonna? How else are they gonna view it? And because it's Alaska, nobody gives a crap about that place, which is unfortunate because it's very, very nice up there. One of my favorite states. But the West as a whole is pretty much, yes, very laid back. Like I said, cut out California. It's very laid back. People are much friendlier to each other on a day-to-day basis. I especially when driving, I noticed that. There, notice that as you go out west, gun laws become looser and looser. Well, that's because and people get scared of that, saying, "Why would they allow that?" Because the people are nice and they're not going to do anything bad with the guns. That's why. Yes, I know John Holmes recently shot up the theater with Batman, but that's a rare case, okay? And I just don't think those laws should change. It wouldn't help thing. I think I may have talked about that in one of my previous videos about gun control laws, but anyway, yes, that's the West for you. Very laid back, and as long as you stay out of the state of California, very laid back. I don't know about the whole California, so somebody might say I'm wrong, but I hope I am. I know for a fact, or pretty much know for a fact, that Los Angeles and San Francisco, San Diego, yeah, they're all like here. I mean, no difference really, just more tropical, and better weather. But anyway, time to go to the final. And by the way, almost forgot, the West, like I said, is basically everything past um Nebraska and Missouri and um I Oklahoma, but that could be the West too. Texas is in the West before I go on. Some people would say that's the South, but I think that's the West, even though there are some Southern accents there. It's slightly different. And so it's a Southwest, but the West as a whole. Now to go to my favorite region, and most people are it's least favorite region. That's not the reason it's my favorite. Rather, if you actually spent any time there, which most people don't, because they only believe what they're told, or they blindly accept what they hear, which would be it sucks, or just look at what they did in 120 years ago. 100, actually more like 140 years ago at this point. But it's much different now than then. This is what happened. They fell on their ass. They got up, like what happened when Japan and Germany collapsed, and now they're much better. Japan's struggling, but it's still much better than it was after World War II. Same with Germany. That's a definite. Now it's competing with the United States in the economy, but it's the South did pick itself up, but no one really gave them a chance after that. And if you ask me, now